Very good. Okay. Well, anyway, hi Scott.
Oh, good morning.
Yes. So, I'm happy to spend some time with you. Looking forward to obviously the host shop meeting coming up. I'm going to be going to all three this fall, and
Awesome.
I have not been to yours, and so it kind of leads us into this discussion I want to have today for people out there, understanding a little bit more about pro service. Obviously, the colleagues are going to get to see this as well, but
Yeah.
really, this is about maybe understanding three elements here, and I find yours kind of unique because you've visited plenty of host shops. I
Mhm.
and I don't know, by the way, unless I just missed it. I've been involved in pro service 11 years, and I don't know if I may have missed your old shop. But here we go. Right, you've been to
Yeah.
plenty of host shops. You're now going to have a host shop at your new facility, so I want to discuss all that today.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, we're certainly looking forward to that. And I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but we have this great opportunity to have all the colleagues come in and tour the new place. And we're at about 14 months here now. And what would have been better to have them come in just before, or to come in just after, or to let us get kind of acclimated into our building, and but not too set in our ways. And in my mind, this is the perfect one. We moved. If you guys would have been here 6 months ago, I would have hated it. There's too much had to happen at once, and on top of building the building and moving into it, we had this massive growth. And so I think we've chatted about that a little bit, but we're sitting here 14 months in now, so we're actually starting to be month over month in the new building, and we're still up 50% in sales volume over the previous 12-month period. So our growth has been phenomenal. And through that growth, I mean, I've hired 7 people since we've been here, and I hadn't hired 7 people in the previous 15
You
years.
have not. I know. Wow, that's a lot of people.
We have a very stable crew here. Nobody leaves, and yet I'm hiring 7 people, and I've never had to hire like this before. And we've learned a lot about hiring. We've spent a huge amount of our pro service, especially at the conferences and stuff, talking about two main things, and that's hiring and leadership. And never could that be more important to me now. At the time, it wasn't all that important on the hiring side because I didn't have to. So, and what I'm getting to is that we moved into this building, hit the ground running, and so much has had to happen that we have not fine-tuned this building nearly as much as what some people would think, and or think that we should have, because our volume and our growth was so much that I just didn't have time for it. Um, pardon me. So I didn't have time to think about making the building and the layout and the flow and the aesthetics perfect because we were too busy making sales, fixing cars, hiring people. And as we know, hiring is it's the recruiting, it's the onboarding, it's the training. There's at least 3 or 4 steps to a good hire. And so that took up all my time. But anyways, I think it's perfect that we're coming in now at 14 months before we've got too set in our ways. And you guys are going to tell me all about the building, all about my business, and all about workflow and the stuff that we really need. That with a 50% sales increase, this is a different business than it was 2 years ago. It has
Oh
to be run
boy.
differently. So perfect.
So let's talk about three elements. Tell me a few things that you gleaned from other host shop visits yourself that you implemented with the new building. Just some three basic ones, right? Take good takeaways.
Yeah.
And how'd that go?
Well, I mean, great opportunity during the time in pro service, and I have been in since the beginning. I don't know how many years that is now, but a little over 15, I think.
About
Um,
right. Yep.
so we've watched a few others do this, in particular, Dan Buss at DNR. And so I
Oh
visited
yeah.
his old shop. We drove by the piece of dirt he was looking at, or he just bought. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
the timeline exactly. And then when he moved in, I went and visited that shop for a couple of days. He's in outside Chicago.
Yep.
And so I visited his shop and spent 2 days there with him, probably about 6 months after he moved in, and learned a lot from him about what he did and what he didn't, and some of the mistakes that he made, and things that he would do differently. And so that was an opportunity that, very few people in our industry get that chance to just go in there and see how the whole thing went from the dirt up. So that was a great opportunity. We used a lot of that stuff that we learned when planning and building our place. How often do you get that chance?
You don't. And I know, obviously from, our friendship in regards to pro service, understanding your process, it was drawn out a little bit too. So you had not only some learning curves, but some challenges. And so through that process, I'm sure that being able to have that access to how other people are doing theirs. I mean, talk about hands-on experience. It's like our apprentices, right? It's like, oh my gosh, you get all this like, hands-on time. It's very helpful.
Yeah, I for sure. I don't know two things. I'm pretty sure that I would not be here today in this new building without the pro service. The push from Jim Murphy in particular, and what he really hit home for me. This should be obvious to some, and it probably is obvious to some people. It should be obvious, but it just isn't because we don't see ourselves in the same perspective. Is And I said to Jim, I said, maybe about 5 years from now. He's like, that's 5 years from now is not a goal because if I ask you in 5 years, it'll still be 5 years from now.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
he says, if it's 2010, then the goal should be 2015, not 5 years from now, because 5 years started the day, the first time he ever said that.
Yeah, yep.
And so that really pushed me to start. He's like, and if you think it's 5 years from now, then 2 years from now, you need to start doing all your research and looking. Don't start your research 5 years from now because you want to be in there 5 years from now. So that was a real awakener for me, is to realize how I had to change my way of thinking. That 5 years is a deadline, not a the difference between a dream and a goal is that the goal has a timeline and a dream just will never happen because it doesn't have a timeline, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
have a finish line. So we started the process. But yeah, we had some really big challenges along the way, and with the builder, with designs, with the city, with financing, and the financing problem was all organized ahead of time until all the other problems came up, and that forced us to have to spend more money. So then we had to revisit all that stuff without having the network of people, the colleagues in the group, uh, backing you up, helping you out. Even when they didn't have the answers, they helped you out. And we know what it's like just to have people cheering you on is helpful. Well, I mean that's priceless, really. So that was huge. The peer group that we have is second to none.
It's funny you mentioned that because even through some of my stuff, right? It's funny, even the general phone calls from your buddies and your pack. Hey, how's it going? It tends to be this like chipping away at accountability, right? It really does keep you focused. I mean, Coach Murphy, right? I call him Sensei, but he definitely helps you focus that lens on what needs to happen. There's no, I mean, you can't make up for lost time, right? So he's amazing in making sure that those things that are laser focused need to be in your sights. So that's cool. Well, so
Yeah.
if we look at now what's going to happen here next month, right?
Yeah.
What are maybe a couple things you're looking to glean from the input from 30 descending shop owners on your new place that you're proud of?
Yeah. I mean, I want to know, what the business needs is workflow and scheduling. I need to hear from others that have had this kind of volume before, because when you grow slowly, organically, you adapt as you go. But this was just like boom, and it's hit us, and we're like, whoa, we don't even know what to make of it. We're trying new things, but we want an outside set of eyes on it to say, here's what I would do differently. Here's what you should try. Here's some opportunities. Here's what works for us. Here's what worked for others. So workflow and scheduling is hugely a challenge for our business with the growth that we've had. That's number one. And then the general aesthetics. We didn't do too much in terms of trying to make the reception and the lobby and some of these other things too perfect. We just had to get in and get going. And a lot of the plans that we had in our mind, we just found that we didn't have the time to get to them. And so that would be awesome to have the group come in and tell us how to make this more appealing to the customers, how to make it more enjoyable for the staff. We all know how important staff is today, and retaining and recruiting people. I mean, I take every opportunity I can to run people through this building and show them so they can talk about it, so they can see it, they can tell their friends.
Culture,
But
culture.
culture is so important. I think that culture, um, is slightly different, but it certainly helps to have a nice receptive place to go into every day. Well, I think that we built the building, but it lacks a little. It's kind of the difference between a house and a home. So you buy a house, but you turn it into a home. Well, we haven't turned this into a home yet, and that sounds a little sappy in some ways, but we want the staff to come in here every day and have it to be a little bit of them. For one, they spend 8-9 hours here every day, so we want to make it as welcoming and such as possible for them. We want it to work for them in all ways, not just to be. We're not just talking about workflow and having the parts and the tools in the right places, but the lunchroom, the bathrooms, all these things that are also going to be important to make the place just a little more enjoyable every day, to have the right appeal. So that's part of our growth, recruiting, is to have all those things in place. With the current staff that we had, they all understood it. Like, to get in here and hit the ground running was super important. I'd spent every penny I had. We had to pay the bills, right? So that was super important. But now that we've done it, we're at 14 months. We've proven the growth, the month over month. Okay, it's working. So now it's time to take a step back and go, how do we make it nicer? And that's both for the clients and for the staff. It's really important to me to have both have
So
a
let's
comfortable.
expound on that a little bit because I know, right? I know as being part of the family, the team,
Yeah,
the genuineness that comes from all the colleagues. But I want to expound on that a little bit because I hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, I hear in you this confident ability to be able to take the genuine input from the colleagues because it comes from a great place. I find that to be the secret sauce of pro service because it does not, any kind of suggestion or help or input. It definitely comes from a place of genuineness to want to see you succeed. And I think that that's a unique quality that we have because of the ability to all of us want to see you just shoot to the moon, right? So is that your feeling as well? Because you sound open to like, this is going to be great because you're going to get 30 set of eyeballs
yeah,
to be able to put that final little diamond on the top of the ring, right?
yeah. This group is certainly more than just a group of colleagues. I don't know what the word is, but we're more than friends. It's almost a brotherhood, and I don't want to use that word incorrectly, because it's certainly more than just brothers. And we have the set of eyes that will come in here is both male and female colleagues that have a different viewpoint on everything we do, and that's really important. And we've learned to understand that when they tell us something, it is genuine. They want to see us succeed, and they have no reason to not just give you the flat out truth. And extremely valuable. And I know that I've been to a lot of meetings where it's hard not to get a little bit emotional about what you built, because it's your baby. And to be able to just take that deep breath and just let it all come in and absorb it all, that's going to be my challenge, of course, to do that. And hopefully I'll be able to do that well. But I've been to a lot of these meetings, and I've had a few of them myself at my own shop at the past locations. And I understand the value of them. And my staff, some of them have been here through some of these. I mean, I got one guy that's been here 23 years. So he's been through several of these himself, and he gets it. And we've always been one of those open shops. So since moving in here, we've already had several of the colleagues come up on their own personal time and sit in our shop and spend a couple days here, not just pop in for a 1 hour visit or go for lunch.
Oh, I'm
Um,
coming in early. Trust me, I'm
yeah,
coming in early. I can't wait.
yeah, so that just proves that these guys have come in on their own time from across the country and from close by. But in every case, like, it took a considerable effort for them to come here, and they spent a couple of days on their own dime, paid for their own hotel, and even bought me lunch for the
Well,
privilege to hang
you
out in
spent
my
all your
shop.
money, so we're worried about you
Yeah,
losing weight, Scott.
yeah, I know. Yeah, they're lucky I didn't ask them for a loan.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is an amazing thing that the people that we bring in, and I don't know, it is as close to family as you can get. And they understand, because they live in the same world, they've had the same challenges, and they've got the experience that we just can't be beat. We've also in this group many times used the word loosely like a board of directors, but if these 30 people come into my business and if 15 of them tell me you should try this, I'd have to be pretty dumb not to try it because
Right?
I know what their background is, and they've done it successfully. They've seen it done
Yep.
successfully. And so that's the it's another set of eyes is valuable. 30 sets of eyes is just unbelievable.
And it's funny because all of those eyes come with this great sense of humility on both sides, right? Because it really comes with this center of the heart approach of wanting to see the team, right? The
Yeah.
family grow and be the strongest. And as they say, right, the chain's only as strong as the weakest link. So, now we've got Scott Waddle up there at Precision Auto Service. And now it's like that link's a little solid now. So now we're going to be looking at all the other ones wanting to improve everybody else. But yeah, great points for sure. So as we finish up, Scott, so first, thanks a lot for the time. I personally can't wait to get my rear end up there and really see the final product. I've been seeing pictures and the progress, and I've heard from others, by the way, who've snuck up there. I would imagine Nate's probably been up, maybe John Beebe, right? They're Washington area.
Yeah.
They've snuck up.
John and Dan have been up from Bellingham and Burlington Automotive. And then, of course, Bob Ling and his manager, John from Silverdale Auto Works, have been up. And one of our former colleagues, Carlos Sabuco from Oakville, Ontario, he came out and spent a couple days. So, yeah, it's been great.
Very good. Well, look, thanks for the time today. Look forward to seeing you here in the future. And again, just some more pro service nuggets.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Craig.